That's cute.
Yo, 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 what up, man? Welcome to Mezzo Forte Sportz. That's right, boys. Talk with the super fans. We sit down with the crew. Who would have got today's edition? We got the man with no class and he talks trash. It is Seabass. Got a guy who walks the walk. Now he talks the talk. It is Coach Tosco. Wow. Our Austin FC diehard fan, Eduardo, also in attendance. Our faithful producer, Craig AV. Fearless host, Danny BMD. And me, of course, your amateur hype man, Super Fun Art. We talk sports, the Texas Star. Wait in.
Yo, 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 welcome to Mezzo Forte Sportz. Small talk for super fans, coming to you live from San Antonio, Texas. Providing some sports time for your free time. What up, this your host, Danny BMD. How's everyone doing, and how did your team and your bracket do this week? All right, guys, so we are live on Twitch, YouTube, and I think that's it. Maybe Facebook, but I don't know. All right, guys. So just gonna, I know we did a segment before. We're just gonna go ahead and just start just to our audience. Just want to say hi. We haven't seen y'all in a week. There's been a lot of sports. We are gonna talk a lot of, sports, everything around the world. We're today specifically, we are actually going to talk about UEFA Champions League. It's going to actually be a pretty interesting and in-depth conversation. You guys definitely need to check it out. Also, as well, we are going to talk a little bit of football. I know there's a lot of craziness going on, so we definitely want to talk about that. So just in this case, I know we do have our over voice, which is Superfan Art. Thank you, Superfan Art, for joining us today. And then, nice. We do have Coach Tosco.
Coach,
how you doing, bro?
Yo. What's the deal, bro? Doing all right.
Nice. And of course, fellow Blockbuster ex-co-worker.
which one, though? You got two of them.
I do have two.
Jesus.
Dude, it was my first, Blockbuster was my first job. We used to work together. Anyways, Eddie, what's up, bro? How's it going?
Wait, both Seabass and I. So it's three of us here.
Oh, fine. Seabass too, but you. I'm talking about you.
All right, I'm doing all right.
The one that lasted the longest, right?
Right here.
Actually, we all kind of left at the same time.
Anyway. Digressing. Nursing a heartbreak,
I know.
Today's Champions League was rough to watch, but we'll talk a little more about that. How you doing?
Doing good, bro. I know Champions League is going to be very intense. I mean, Chelsea's barely out. I don't even want to talk about it. Anyways, talk about the heartbreak, but I guess now you found someone, Seabass, a first-round pick.
We all know who we're taking. Trevor Lawrence, Trevor Town, Lawrenceville. We're gonna come up with a name, but definitely looking forward to it.
Lawrenceville? Yes. Someone tweet that right now, please.
Hater.
And of course, Mr. Crack AV, our ever-loving producer. How you doing, bro?
Doing great, guys. Good to hear about more sports this week. Good to hear that Baylor's won everything.
Dang, there we go. So just kind of touching up real quick. In this case, again, we did talk about how we're going to talk about the UEFA Champions League. So just I just want to I know we're just kind of talking about it. We touched on it. We'll maybe get a little bit more into that. Obviously Eddie, our Liverpool super fan here. Definitely feeling some of that tension and nerves.
What happened, Eddie?
What can I say? Well, look, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to play both sides.
Okay.
And I'm going to give a very, very detailed analysis. We're going to break it down by halves. So we'll start to break this. So it's going to be about 15 minutes talking about the first half, and then about 30 minutes about the second half.
Hold on. Before you start your 15 minutes, I'll just give a 1 second answer.
Hey, you can't talk. Can't talk.
Liverpool sucked. Go.
I mean, well, coming from someone that's not even in the competition with United.
Hey,
fine.
We're going to win Europa.
Anyways.
It's all good, homie. Don't worry about it.
Sure. Anyways, so first half, we were trash.
the
and there's
season or the game?
no, the game against Real Madrid. The first half of the season, we're actually pretty good. The second half, we've sucked. But anyways, I don't know. I think first half, we'll break it down by the first goal. I think Toni Kroos, that was an amazing pass. Vinicius was playing like he was CR7. And, you know, I can't take away anything from the first goal. Second goal, you know, everybody's talking about, is Trent Alexander-Arnold dropped from the England squad? Is that right? Is that not? You know, everybody knows he has defensive issues, but he's great up front. He had a massive day in the weekend against Arsenal when they went 3-0. And then he goes and gives it, you know, to Asensio on the silver platter, just heads it to him. He literally assisted Real Madrid for that second one, which I think that was a big mistake. And it kind of set the tempo a bit. You know, everybody started making a lot more mistakes. Trent was just scared defending. And first half, like I said, we looked horrible and we deserved those, if not, you know, more goals. I think Real Madrid forgave us like 2 more times that they could have easily been up 4-0 at halftime. I don't know. What do you think, Tosco?
I agree in the sense that Real Madrid could have scored more. I agree. Mm-hmm. And Vinicius, hopefully, is finally, I mean, we say finally, right? He's been on the team for what, a year or two? He's like, what, 19, 20, right? Yeah. He's a wonder kid. He's a phenom, right? But he hasn't shown that CR7 gene that he's supposed to have, that Neymar gene that he's supposed to have, right?
Right.
Maybe he's starting to show it, right? Maybe it's starting to sprout. And like you said, I mean, when you have passes like that from a midfielder like Toni Kroos, I mean, you're talking about one of the best ones in the game. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. He may not be what, you know, Toni Kroos may be, you know, already peaked. He might be on his downslope, whatever you want to say. But the guy is still a high-level midfielder on a great team. So, I mean, you're right. But I will say this. Even seeing the first half, even with the defensive lapses that Liverpool had, I feel that Liverpool had some time of attack, some chances where they could have created. Where you have so many creators on your team that can create their own shot, that can create a good pass, and you're just not seeing it. You're not seeing it at the end. Even though they have the opportunity, you have the lane, you have the pass, you don't have pressure, and it's not happening. And that's what the biggest take I take from the first half.
Right. And just to kind of add on to that, and like I said, I'm gonna talk all points. There's a couple things, you know, I'm a fan of Liverpool, and I'm also a fan of soccer, right? Football. And my call is, you have a Liverpool that's on fire in the league. You know, the last several games, they came out of a slump. You finally shift Fabinho to midfield because Kabak and Phillips are kind of doing all right, you know, very inexperienced players, new to the league and to the, you know, intensity of the game. But you have Fabinho in the midfield with Thiago, and whether it be Wijnaldum or, you know, whoever they put next to him, but usually it's been Gini, Thiago, and Fabinho. And that kind of helped relieve some of the pressure from the defense, and they've been looking better. So then you have this team, this kind of formula that's kind of working. And then Diogo's on fire, but he's been on the bench. He's been a little injured. So that was kind of like a no-brainer. You're going to put in Jota instead of Bobby. But then to drop Thiago to put in Keita was kind of questionable. I do get it. You know, you're talking about 2 years ago, Modric and Kroos destroyed us in the final. We couldn't touch them. They kept on passing around us. So maybe you want to put a little more of a pace and a little more of like, I don't know, someone that could run more than what Thiago can, because Thiago's not fast at all. And to me, it was kind of a questionable change. I get it, but it was like, you already had a formula that's working. Why tweak it that much if you're already tweaking the front?
But I will tell you, though,
in the midfield, to be honest.
Well, and I will tell you this, though. Being on fire in the Premier League, obviously that's great, right? You're gaining, you're winning. But the teams you're beating are not Real Madrid. They're not that level. So you be getting in that good, groove and things are working out, but then you go face a team that's a higher level. And I guess maybe this could be on the coach, on
Jurgen.
Klopp, because maybe he tried to anticipate because we're playing a better team.
Mm-hmm.
He made a change that he probably shouldn't have. He overthought it, and he should have gone with what has been working, to get out of that slump. But he learned. He learned from this one.
Do you think he took too long to make his moves? Because I think the last two subs were like in the last 10 minutes or something.
So look, and Tosco might recall this from the Dortmund days when he followed them, but Jurgen Klopp has a history.
He'll follow.
Because he's a Liverpool fan in hiding. I know that. Jurgen Klopp has historically, or is kind of famous for not being able to manage substitutions. He's done that countless times with us where I'm,
noticeable today.
I'm like, dude, why? Why are you making things, why are you waiting until the last 10 minutes to make subs when you're down by 2? I get you kind of want to be defensive, but at the same time, besides the point, he does questionable things where he tries to anticipate, like Tosco said. In his defense, if putting Keita in and Thiago out, and we would have won 3-0, and everybody would have held it like, whoa, genius masterclass. No one saw that coming, right? So, again, it's one of those things, it's hindsight. Personally, when I saw the lineup, I was like, I get Diogo in for Bobby up front. You put him a little more up front because he's not as defensive as Bobby. Also, you have to remember both of Real Madrid didn't have their starting center backs, so you want to attack that and expose that. But that's exactly what they did with us. They knew our center backs are our weakest point, our slowest point, and they were playing the counters and the switch in between fields, flawlessly. And they played the game that we should have played, like a perfect possession and
not give up the ball in every pass,
not make mistakes, not make mistakes, like the biggest thing. And I'm not just talking about Trent. I saw Trent do mistakes, Keita do mistakes, Diogo slipped like 5 times and he gave the ball away. Thiago gave the ball away. Fabinho gave the ball away. So it was a whole shit show of a first half.
It was pretty bad.
Not making mistakes. In second half, digressing to second half. I'm not just talking about. You could tell the team came out inspired. They came out kind of probably, having an earful from Jurgen and kind of getting a little more organized. Right before the half, they switched out Keita, put Thiago in, kind of started changing a bit the dynamics of things. The vision from Thiago and the experience is a lot more than actually Keita. So it switched up a bit. We got a little bit lucky with how that play with Diogo turned out, where the bounce fell into Salah and he scored it. I think that was a pivotal part in the game to where it was like 2-1. It's anybody's game right now. We have the momentum. And then 10 minutes later, we get scored on. And honestly, Alisson has been probably the best keeper we've had since Pepe Reina back in early 2000s,
That Benzema stuff was pretty good.
I mean,
I've always liked Mingale, but that's me.
Belgium has a soft spot in my heart too. It's okay. But it's like, I know he saw that shot late because there's a lot of people in front of him. But as a keeper, as a world-class keeper, you have to have strong hands. Like it bounced off and he pushed it in. Like, I get it. It happens. It's not on him, but I don't know. It was just, I think, soul crushing for the team. And then we couldn't really Real Madrid was just like, okay, our game is just kind of sit back, get the ball. Let's do some, hurt them where we can, and control the game at that point. 3-1, you don't want to get scored on again. You don't want to give them another away goal.
No,
you don't want to make
exactly
it impossible next week to come back.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this. I'll tell you, okay, go ahead, Tosco.
No, I was going to say, no, definitely. You want to sit back. And the thing is that when Salah scored, they should have ramped up the pressure. They should have gone even more aggressive. There, 5 minutes after that, there should have been a substitution for an aggressive substitution.
Yep.
And go for it. And there where it could be, especially when you're away. Mm-hmm. Like you're away, you need the away goals. Like that's the tiebreaker when you tie. Mm-hmm. And he didn't go for it. And you, like you said, when that goal went in, it was a soul crusher. It was over.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some takeaways from this. There's glimpses of what Liverpool can be, but majority of it is kind of what we've been this 2021. Just can't finish. No creativity up front. We have playmakers. There's no doubt about that, but we just can't finish. Can't score the goals. I mean, to have 7 shots and only 1 on target, that's trash. And that's been the story of every loss that you see in 2021 for us.
Yeah.
We either have 1 shot or no shots, and you can't. Obviously, you can't score if you don't shoot. So, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like they're just playing the easy and for sure pass too much, But again, what we can think about is 2 years ago, what happened? We went down 3-0 versus Barcelona, full stars, all the studs there. And it was a very injured Liverpool without Salah, without, several other key players. And somehow it happened. 4-0, we won. But that was a full Anfield. That's a whole different ballgame. So my hope here is keep a clean sheet next week. We just need 2 goals and a clean sheet. And if for some miracle, we can get
okay. Only.
Hey, I mean,
it is possible.
We did 4 against Barcelona, and it happened. That's what I'm saying.
It's possible, but don't hold your breath. Now, I'm not saying that Liverpool doesn't have a chance, but they
can't play like today.
It needs to be better. Like you're the team that won everything last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to be better. It's not like you lost everybody. Yes, you don't have the best defender in the world. Yes, he's hurt. We get that, right? Yes, you're missing some players here and there. But at the same time, you can put it together. You have world-class players. You have the top of the positions on almost at every spot. Like, yes, you're right. But my point is Liverpool's not playing like a Madrid. Liverpool did not, at least today, didn't play like a Madrid.
Nope. Today we did.
Play like a Barcelona or
recently
or a Man City.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like why is there that switch? And that's, like Eddie said, that's been the thing said for 2021. Why hasn't that switch been turned on when it needs to? Why has it been, let's just lay back and see who does it?
Yep.
Is that a Jorgen thing, Eddie?
I don't know if it's a Jurgen thing or just like a fatigue thing. I can't find an excuse for them. It's just, they're just stuck in a mindset where I feel sometimes that they have too much confidence. Like they think it's going to be like a manageable game.
Because of the league
no, not even that. I think winning everything last year made them like feel like they're invincible. And now it's like, dude, no, like it was a combination of things. It was the fans. It was having your healthiest players. It was also other teams beating Man City and dropping points. It wasn't all Liverpool.
And I think that has to do with it in the sense that if you look at other teams from other leagues like a Barcelona, Real Madrid, we're on a 30-game win streak and they haven't lost and and they won all these trophies, right? But then you find they did that last year. But you're in a league where on one weekend, you got Man United, you got Chelsea, you got Man City, you got Tottenham, you got Everton. Everton is a big rivalry. You got Everton, you got Arsenal. Like you have a gauntlet, at least of half the teams in that league that is like, oh God, like you gotta bring it. Barcelona and Real Madrid, yes, they're in the league where they have maybe 3-4 very high teams, and then everybody else is just a gimme, right? And of course, anything can happen any game, right? But it's like, I think that tiredness maybe played a part into it.
Absolutely. I think it's one of those things where just things didn't really work out. But then going back to it, we looked like trash against Barcelona. We lost 3-0, and we had all our players. So again, it could still happen. I won't lose hope, but we need to play, like I said in the last episode, we need to have a perfect game. We need to control the midfield and no mistakes. What happened today? A bunch of mistakes. We didn't control the midfield, and then we didn't even finish. So honestly, like if we play like we play today, next week, we deserve to lose. And honestly, if we play like we played today, we should lose 3-0, 4-0 because, I mean, if we don't lose this next week like that and we, for some reason, pass and we play like shit the next one, it's going to be the same story. Who are you going to face? Who do we got? Possibilities of facing?
It's isn't it Man City and Dortmund?
Dortmund.
Yeah, I believe so, right?
Yeah, because it's the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's Man City and Dortmund.
That's it.
actually, I think it's Porto and
I was gonna say Porto or Chelsea.
I think it's tomorrow's games.
Yeah, well, yeah, the tomorrow's game. Yeah,
Because
Whoa.
we won't play. Well, I don't know.
And
I
then
believe
it's
it's
Bayern, PSG, Man City, Dortmund.
Yeah, PSG, Bayern.
Yeah. So Man City, Dortmund play the winner of Bayern and PSG.
PSG.
Oh, and then
We
you
play the winner of Porto
and
Porto and Chelsea.
Chelsea. So
Well, you might get, if you make it through this round, you'll get a game next round.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I mean,
And like Eddie said, all they need is
Hey,
Chelsea got exposed
dude,
last
bro,
week.
like
5-2.
all the EPL teams need to win in order to fucking
Yeah.
get into Champions League next year. Because we're all like
Yeah.
4th, 5th, 6th. God damn.
Yeah, I mean, the top 10, like the top 8 in the Premier League are so tight. Well, not Man City and not Man United.
Yeah.
I think those two are like above. You're not going to catch those.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
just too far.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. Yes, whatever.
But I mean, from number 3 to like 8, it's like a 4, 2,
Oh,
3,
yeah,
4
it's
point
gonna be a
difference.
This is a
slugfest.
stretch.
So,
But I love those extra teams. I love a West Ham. I love an
Dude,
Everton. I love a
West Ham.
Leicester.
Okay, bro. I don't like them.
I do.
I love them
think
going up there.
I think they're those types of
Listen,
teams.
wait
Like
on that.
when Leicester
Oh, yeah,
won
but-
it a couple years back.
No, I mean it's
I loved
cool,
it.
but it's
I
like
loved it.
Oh, I loved it too. I loved it. It was
I love
awesome.
And I love Jamie Vardy
actually,
too.
That actually was pretty sick. I was like, I mean, because they deserved it. Like it was one of those like
Yeah, it was like they came out and they beat everybody. Like it was their year. It was a year, that anybody would want, and they had it, and it was awesome.
and like real throwing a wrench in the conversation. Like you think like how they won last year and stuff like that. It's obviously because of relegation and stuff like that, right? Like how teams are able to just come up and stuff like that, right? But obviously like American sports aren't really like that. You think relegation would work on any other sport besides soccer?
I mean, hell yeah. If you have to have an organization like in the minor leagues,
Yeah.
it could, but you need to be well organized how they are. Because those minor leagues and lower leagues are really competitive in all those leagues. Like there are some ballers out there. A lot of those teams are just feeders for their superstar teams. So it has to be well organized.
I think it could happen. I think that maybe in the NBA it would be a good situation, but you have to have them to where, let's say for example, the Spurs, they get relegated, right, and they go down to the minor leagues. You can't have DeMar DeRozan, want to get a trade because he's in the minor leagues. You can't have the stars, the guys that try for big contracts, try and get out, because they're in the minor leagues, and they get relegated.
But I think,
don't like soccer players do that shit anyway?
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
I think that's the exciting
Yeah.
part from that, dude, because like Liverpool, every year when teams are relegated, we end up picking 1 or 2 people because in the relegation, at least in the Premier League, if you're relegated, every player is free to get a contract elsewhere if they want to.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's kind of cool. It creates movement.
I mean, it's kind of like the transfer.
Yeah, but then what's going to end up happening is you're never going to see the Spurs again, or it's going to be a while before you see them up there.
Because you're going to lose all their best players,
so
and you want to prep your team.
That's fine, but you got to make sure that that organization and the fans and the markets know what's going to happen.
Right.
Because that's the thing. Or you can just pull a Juventus in like 2006, 2007, where they all fucking stayed and it was awesome.
Yep.
And they won it like 3 years in a row.
But I think
several teams that do that. Yep.
But I think
different ships.
I mean, but I think that a lot has to do with just like in this case, like with American sports, like sponsorships and stuff like that. We're
That's
like,
another thing. Yeah.
All about
like,
the
yeah,
money, man.
TV.
yeah,
The
we're
money,
like, hey,
man.
like, I'm not about to sponsor you if you're gonna like lose,
Exactly.
But I mean, that's the reality of it. But I think this should be just because the competition a part of it. But if we do that, then they can't put caps. You know what I mean? I think it would be like because
I think they have to caps to be.
Yeah. I hate caps.
You
I
think
need
so,
superstar
Seabass?
teams.
Well, it's because like I mean, that's where it gets competitive because like now you can pay like all these minor league players whatever, and then it starts. That's when you
But-
can actually set a market for that. I don't know.
but
I'm
think
just
about
kinda,
it,
I'm
Danny.
just
And
like,
No,
that's
but-
also how there's no
Right.
no parity in the league, and it's just the top teams every single year.
No, and this is a good tangent that we're going on here. I think it's valid your point, but you have to also consider what we just said. Sponsors are going to be gone. You're not going to have the Coca-Colas and whatever's. You're going to have the smaller sponsors, so it means
Pepsi.
less money. So it's not like they're going to have all this money still being in the lower league. Those teams, that business, it shrinks. So you can't really afford those superstars. I think I love it. I mean, I hate it when my teams have been relegated, like Puebla and Mexico. It sucks.
Yeah.
But I think it's exciting to have new markets come up and down. What happens in Mexico is, like, for example, and I'm going to say it NFL. I would love to see an NFL where it has a lower league and it has the smaller markets. So imagine the lower league having a San Antonio team. Maybe, I don't know, Oklahoma. I don't know. Do they have a team in Oklahoma?
Like their arena football,
Like-
like they have all these.
Yeah, but no, like an actual NFL.
like NFL, like a
rules.
G League or whatever.
Yeah. Just a B league, for the NFL. And then you have maybe it's only like 16 teams for the smaller markets around the states, and the champion gets promoted, and the one with the worst record in the NFL gets relegated. And there you go. You kind of switch off, for example. Now the thing that happens with like a league in Mexico, I don't know. I think they just got rid of relegation not too long ago. But what used to happen is there were certain guidelines you had to meet for.
Yeah, you had to win the
Yeah,
championship
yes.
twice,
And not only that, your stadium had to have certain capacity. You had to have
capacity, people going.
bus-
Oh
some-
yeah, I
exactly.
remember that. That's why
Everything.
that's why like Nuevo Laredo
I remember
Nuevo
one team
Laredo had
doing-
like the tacolotes or something like that.
That's why Guadalajara, even though they're really, 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 really bad, they have never got.
Yeah, bro, like
Yeah,
Nuevo
I mean,
Laredo, the Nuevo Laredo
it's
had
the
a pretty good team. Like they're la tacolotes, but they're like division like 5 or something like that. Like,
Yeah. Well,
Like-
Tecolotes was baseball though.
well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
but I like it.
They were good.
Yeah,
They
but
were
like,
good,
but because
but
of
they
their
stayed in
stadium,
that.
yeah, but
Mhm.
because of their not stadium capabilities, are they able to move?
Exactly. So what a lot of teams used to do in Mexico, which is what could happen in the States if there was a B league for NFL, is if you get promoted, what they do is they sell the rights or they sell the I guess the promotion. So let's say the Cowboys get relegated and San Antonio Spurs get promoted, but they only have like a 15,000 seat stadium in San Antonio. They can't become an NFL team. So they look to see who pays them. Dallas, are you going to pay me? Or another B league team that has the capabilities in the stadiums, you're going to pay me for this promotion. And that's how they get promoted. That's what I like about the relegation promotion. There's a lot of things moving behind the scenes, and it could open new markets up. But I mean, at the end of the day, I would love the Browns to be gone.
No, but I think you're right. But
What do you think,
Not the
you're right.
Ravens?
I think it has to be organized. The money's going to play a big part.
Yeah.
And there has to be rules and regulations so that it could be fair. That's the only, because if it's not going to end up being fair, then what's the point of having it?
Yeah.
Because then those fans from that city and that team, they're just going to lose interest.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, the fucking Cowboys, they got relegated. Now what are we going to do? Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're a true fan, you're going to watch the games, you're going to want to go. But then you're going to see a drop off because it's like, yeah, they're playing this crappy team. Or, oh, you know what? We don't have our best players because they all left because we got relegated.
Yeah.
And then that's one of those things. So
Yeah.
it's a good idea on paper. The
Yeah.
execution needs to be good as well.
Absolutely. I think it'd be nearly impossible to do it.
Yeah,
To
I think so too. It's
It would
kind of.
affect a lot of other things. It would affect the draft. It would affect the NFL share revenue that they get.
I mean,
from TV deals. They're gonna have to bring in different teams.
Mhm.
It'll affect abroad games internationally. Like all these teams, are they gonna be ready to travel? It's kind of unrealistic at the moment, I guess, but
At
it
the
would be
moment.
Cool.
cool.
I know
And would that league
several.
even be better than what we have right now, which is college football? That's kind of the B league, or where you get all your players from.
But
Like,
imagine,
are you gonna split time from NCAA games, this other league, and the NFL games, or are you just gonna ignore the league completely?
Well,
yeah.
that's what the NFL does. They ignore the Canadian League. They ignore the Arena League. They ignore
Exactly.
the other
the
leagues,
Mexican Football League, bro.
and the Mexican Football League, the German one. But the thing is this,
Australian one too.
okay, but see, think about it, Seabass. There are so many players that don't get drafted. Because think
Yeah.
about it, the draft is 7 rounds,
Yeah.
32 teams. That's what, 250 players?
250 yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so 252 players, right? 252 players.
That's
get
not a lot.
drafted.
That's not a lot.
That's not a lot. If you think there's about 50 players on every team, and there's probably 100 and something teams.
Yeah, I
Like,
think
that's
it's.
a-
I
that's-
think.
you're talking about
I think it's
thousands of
100,
players.
160 universities. I think.
yeah. So it's about now. Obviously, you're not gonna compare, the Alabamas and the Incarnate
Alabama
Words,
State.
right?
And probably half of
Alabama
the
State.
players are not really pro material.
But you're still gonna get the other players that maybe still need another year to develop. What if
The
there's a
practice squad
receiver that-
people.
Well, yeah, exactly. But what if you got a receiver that didn't get drafted, didn't get signed by any team, right? And he goes and he graduated with a degree and goes becomes a teacher. Cool, whatever.
Let's
what
make
if
it
that
graduate college football league.
I think Tosco's talking about himself here.
What if maybe, but what if he would have gotten another year in the minor leagues and would have developed into, a better receiver that now catches the eye of other teams? That could have been that extra year or two that he could have needed because maybe he didn't start as a freshman.
Yeah, and to your point, Tosco, now we talk about, like Siba said, maybe they don't have the logistics to handle becoming an NFL team. Well, maybe making it kind of like the baseball league or what is it, MLB. They have a feeder teams, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you
yeah.
have
Yeah, true
this
that.
destination for all these
All in the
players that
same
don't get
cities.
drafted, but they go into these teams where they could still continue to develop, like Martin said. And you never know. It could become where they develop, or it could become like out of the necessity. Hey, we got injuries in this position. We don't have anything in free agency. We don't have anything in our practice squad, but there's this guy killing it in that league. You know what? Give him a shot. It could create more opportunities, and it could create like an opportunity for all those players that don't get drafted to continue to pursue that dream. Now, where we're going to fit it in the schedule, like you said, Seabass, we have college football, NFL. Are you going to do Friday night lights?
Hey,
Like,
I mean,
what
we
about
We
just
have
high school?
Thursday night football,
we-
Monday night football.
I was gonna say,
Sunday
we
night
talked
football, Saturday night college football.
But we talked about it maybe in the summer. I mean, there's no football in the summer. There's like very little sports in the summer. Specifically, okay, let me backtrack it. There's a lot of sports in the summer, but specifically for the American audience, in this case, it is very little. Like it's just like kind of like baseball, basketball, and football, and NHL, NASCAR, throw it in between or whatever, right? UFC and
Boxing
things like
or
that.
wrestling.
Yeah. Here and there or whatever.
Tennis, golf, Olympics.
But in this case, like, I don't know, maybe in the summer. I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of, piggybacking off of everyone.
Mhm.
I think that it's just the NFL is a little bit too power hungry. They can't give out that power. Maybe
They want
money.
to share that money.
Well, it's
Money
the power,
in
Danny,
the
because
They're on a roll. Why
they
would they?
don't, that sport is not played to the level in any other country.
Yeah.
Because
At all.
basketball is played in other countries at a high level.
Yeah.
Spain, China,
Argentina,
Turkey,
Serbia,
Argentina.
Serbia,
Germany.
like,
Why is there no football in the Olympics, guys?
yeah.
Well,
Because only
That's
U.S.
because there will
be no
dominates.
competition.
There will be no
Exactly.
competition.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
so
some
soccer
rugby
is
teams could
Rugby?
crack it.
Okay.
but going back to this, it's like that's why the NFL doesn't need to be like, whoa, we should give this. And
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
they're
They
the only
don't need
ones.
it,
They're
yeah.
the power hungry, and they're gonna take it because they're the only ones. They
It's a
have an
monopoly
entire
on
market
football.
to themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna
it's
say
cornered the
like they have
market.
a monopoly. Why would it be like, oh yeah, let me share all this
Yeah.
power and money I'm getting? Like
You
why?
know what is
Absolutely.
one thought that when Eddie was talking, he's mentioned practice squad, and it got in my head. What if instead of making a whole nother league or B teams, making a practice squad that fits 30 players and practice squads can play against each other type of shit and keep them for years. So you can
Ah,
steal them, things like that. But it has already the infrastructure. You just need to extend that roster and create some matches. That's a good way to develop and get talent out of guys instead of just doing the pitch work and practice, you know?
That'd be cool.
and
40
also
hours.
and also like I know that
That's
one of the
not a bad
things
idea, actually.
one of the things just kind of I actually ended up speaking to a couple what was that league that they made?
Yeah,
Like
last
XFL?
summer.
The
No,
XFL,
football,
the
football.
AFL,
The football
AFL,
AFL.
AF, what,
AFL.
The one that was here in San Antonio, right?
here in San
With-
Antonio.
You remember when
Commanders.
there was like
The
it was
San
during
Antonio
it was
Commanders.
your San Antonio Commanders.
Oh yeah, so then it was AFL. It was
Yeah.
AFL.
So okay, so I actually met a couple like due to my job where I work at, I actually end up meeting several players. So what they actually end up telling me were like, yeah, man, like I'm actually getting picked up by the Saints. I'm like, oh really? He's like, yeah, but practice squad, and then I was in Denver, and I am going to New Orleans now. So these guys are like jumping, dude. Like they're like, they literally live off of a bag because they're practice squad guys. Like, yeah, they're getting like 300,000 a year, but like,
Well, and the thing is,
they can get
and
cut
the
like
thing is,
tomorrow, whatever.
yeah, no, and the thing is that the AFL was supposed to be like a minor league because
Yeah.
that obviously was not going to have any of the stars that you have in the NFL. They were picking up all the other players that were free agents that weren't picked up,
Or
players
older-
that weren't drafted,
Mhm.
older players, that teams don't want to give a chance to anymore. They were coming in, and it was like their second chance or their first chance for those that never got drafted, never got signed. But that already is an example of showing us how it couldn't work because
Yeah.
it's so much money, the logistics, the infrastructure, it could not work. It was too much money they didn't have.
I-
So
I think in
and
order.
COVID.
Oh yeah, and COVID. I think the NFL must and would have to get involved in a relegation type of league for it to actually work. Just because they're the only ones with the infrastructure.
Yeah, of course, because they have all the money, but
But I don't
You know,
think
why-
they would do it.
why
By
give
the way,
more money
has
when they don't
anyone
have to?
followed the Rock about the XFL and wants to bring it back situation?
But
I know you
again,
bought him, but I
yeah,
lost track of that story.
well,
No, and that's
essentially,
good. That's good because
the
they
XFL
do
is supposed to be same
the
thing,
new thing.
Another
Yeah.
option, yeah.
but they have some different rules. But either way, I mean, yeah, you can get players from that. But I mean, that's still far. It's still far and away. Not if anything, another year from now for it to actually happen.
Yeah.
I think you said 2022 times to bring it
Yeah,
back.
next year. Yeah, spring of next year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I mean, just wanted to. My bad. I didn't mean to kind of go on a tangent like that, but I kind of wanted to, just really kind of throw that idea because it's a very new idea to like the American audience where they're just not used to like relegation. I mean, they're used to like minor leagues, but not actual relegation where like your team actually goes down. Whereas like in Europe, it's just like one of those common things or whatever. So it's just kind of moving along with that. I know that just still talking a little bit of soccer. I just wanted to kind of get your last thoughts on who would actually be
Show me your moves.
who would actually make the UEFA final. Nothing
Oh, we
big.
know it.
Just just throw me some names and maybe a little explanation, maybe 30 seconds each. Go ahead. I'll start with you, Tosco. Who do you think is gonna end up? Just wild guess.
Real Madrid and Manchester City.
Boom. Eddie, go for it.
I'm gonna go Bayern and Liverpool.
Oh my god.
Yo, these are my thoughts. Let them be, dog. But realistically, we are no Liverpool and Bayern. That's final answer.
Liverpool, Bayern. Dang. Seabass.
I'll go ahead and finish off Eddie's statement. Realistically, we all agree with those two. Real Madrid and Man City. But I am kind of hoping that maybe Chelsea pulls something down. But no, I'm going to go Man City.
But
Yeah, I know. I actually want to say like Chelsea, Man City, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that would be very bad. I would actually not want that to happen. Actually,
no, they're gonna get
Take that one.
dominated.
yeah.
Bruh.
Unless Giroud like fucking gets like 5 years younger or whatever by tomorrow. But anyways, I think it is gonna be Real Madrid, Man City. I think Man City is gonna take the whole thing. I just think they can score,
too.
bro. Like, especially what's his face?
Today, they were on the ropes for a little bit.
They
I'm
were.
surprised it was 2-1.
I think Dortmund can pull it off.
Yeah, I
do
think Dortmund can pull it.
off.
Yeah, I think they can pull it off, but only if you know who like buzzes out. Hala.
Who knows? Maybe we'll get a Dortmund Bayern match.
It has happened before.
Yeah.
Germany's
I think it
going-
actually happened back-to-back years. No,
I was like, yeah. I
No.
was like, yeah. I
That was
did.
one
it
yes,
happened
one no.
back-to-back years.
And then
Yeah.
they each won one. No.
No, Bayern took
No, Bayern took both.
No, it took both.
Oh,
Dortmund
that's-
never won.
That's
Well,
right.
I didn't win one at that point.
I
that's
remember
what
because
Tosco
you're
stopped
super
following Dortmund.
excited. Because Tosco's super
No,
excited.
No,
You was going for Dortmund.
yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That's
of
why.
Mark.
All right, guys.
Well,
So
Always.
in this
Moving
case,
on.
moving on, we're gonna go just talk about the Olympic qualifiers. So in this case, for the Olympics are actually next year, right? 2022. Am I correct?
2022 in Qatar.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, the Olympics?
Olympics.
Oh no, they're this year.
This
They're
year.
in
This
December,
year.
bro.
My bad.
I was thinking World Cup. my bad.
Yeah, I don't even
Yeah,
know,
me too.
especially with how COVID just pushed everything around. All right, cool. So it is actually for 2021 Olympics. So they did have their CONCACAF qualifiers. So Mexico did qualify for the Olympics, and they were the first seed. Second seed was Honduras. And unfortunately, the U.S. Did not actually qualify.
Seeding has not been
The
settled.
seeding
but
hasn't been
sure.
settled, but you know what I mean.
But U.S. lost to Honduras 2-1, and they got knocked out for like the third year in a row.
Yeah.
Why
So
and how?
That's fine, but it's still Mexico
is
not the
that
number one seed.
fine?
They need to beat Honduras to be the number one seed, but that's besides the point.
Hey, we got more penalties in there.
Like, you know what surprises me though is that we still have Memo Ochoa under the goalpost. Like
Oh yeah,
that dude, how is
Move
he
on.
still Mexico's best goalie? But who do we move on to?
I was like,
Anyone?
Hey,
but I think, dude, it's because Ochoa's one of those goalies that is like kind of like one of those like playoff players that like they're just really really good in the World Cup.
That's
no
how,
mas.
that's how the news paints him, but he's not. He really
Yeah,
is.
if he was that good, he would have stopped the penalty, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, penalties are like a chance game. I mean,
I'm
you have
just
to go.
saying.
You have to go to the either side.
Or the middle.
Manuel Neuer, you know, what's this? Hugo Lloris.
Are we just naming goalies now?
I mean, are we just
Yeah,
naming like
the
7
best of
foot
the
7
best
foot
because
goalies
Memo
or
Ochoa
what?
is not there. So
Well,
there you go.
Memo Ochoa is not best of the best, but that's what best that Mexico has to offer. in
Yeah,
that
I was
position.
gonna say.
That's what
like-
I'm saying.
I
We've
think
tried
LeBron
to we've tried to move on. No. Like right now, or since he's been the starter, we've tried to move on from Memo several times,
Yeah.
and we've
Oh, yeah.
sucked. So, like to
Oh,
me, it's
yeah.
surprising how we still haven't been able to develop someone to take over. I'm not saying he sucks, but I'm not saying he's the best. He's top in the world either. He
I
was
don't-
at
Wasn't
one
there-
point. He was at one
Wasn't
point.
there the goalie that was they were both
From
the
Cruz
US and Mexico were recruiting Alvarez, I think, or something like that. There was a goalie and he had chosen the US first and then he ended up switching and chose Mexico. This was I think a year or two ago. And I think he was supposed to be like the next big thing, but I don't know where he is now. I don't know, maybe he's on the Olympic team, right? I don't know.
I
Mm.
know that it's what is it? The guy from Cruz Azul, the guy from
I don't know. He's a young guy.
Este
I
Corona.
remember his name.
Corona's always there.
What about
Was it-
Tata Carvajal? I think you should get a chance, to be honest.
I mean, with the nickname Torta, that dude can have whatever he wants.
So I guess
Anyways.
just like
Yeah.
they wrote. I mean, just in this case, I know we did, congratulations, Mexico and when Honduras making it.
No,
I mean,
he brought it up though.
no, and really, I mean, no, I mean that no,
Well,
and I mean just kind of finishing the thought. I mean the
Congratulations,
U.S.
US sucks.
correct, right? And
Congratulations, Honduras. Can we get
but-
one of those, please? If we're gonna congratulate the advancers,
that's what I'm saying. Yes,
congratulations, Honduras.
that's what I'm saying. I said congratulations Mexico, congratulations Honduras.
I
Wait, is
didn't
it
hear
2
that part,
Wait, is
but
it 2.5 or is it 2 only?
two and a half what?
Oh, but it's not the World Cup. Like qualifiers or
I
whatever.
qualified too.
It's two.
Oh,
It's
it's two.
the top two teams. So they both made it
Mexico and
because they're in the final.
But I think I know we're Tosco and I were talking earlier at some time that even then, I mean, it was a U23 or whatever, right? And they're still like young, like it's a young team. I don't know. I still think that the U.S. does have a bright future, especially with the whole MLS, and we're actually going to talk a little bit more about that about possible merger. Where I don't know, just like I think the thing about the U.S. is it's not so much about resources; it's obviously about viewership, and like
Well, for fans, but
I was gonna
Correct.
say,
for the
not about
players-
making the Olympics. I don't think it's
No, for the players though.
No, I'm saying like
I think-
I'm sorry, specifically for the MLS,
Like the league.
the league itself. The league has a lot. So resources in this case, when I say resources, what does that mean? Money. I mean, you're in the
Well, they have money.
That's
The
what I'm
MLS
saying.
has a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying.
more than Mexico.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. But they don't have the support. So in this case, like Mexico is what 85%. Is it 85% soccer and the U.S. you still have you have your big major sports that kind of dominate.
Soccer is fifth
specifically.
or sixth.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really obviously it's a big competition, right? But I still think that and they are bringing in talent. Yeah, granted it is a retirement league, right? But at some point I think they are gonna start not just the European talent, which we do need, but just the homegrown talent, which we do have.
Well,
obviously,
no,
right?
and
Obviously, right? It's not the same thing, right? Because we don't have any domestic leagues that are like really like the domestic league here isn't really as strong as the ones in Europe. But at least they're pushing it, right? They're at least growing it. People are a little bit more interested, and honestly, like whether the men's team feels it, believes it, or knows it, but the women's team really has been holding up. But the soccer viewership and like support here in the U.S., if you really think about it, thoughts on that, Tosco?
well, I mean, yes, no. There's a lot of mixed thoughts here because it's you have to think about it like this. In the United States, soccer is fifth or sixth at best. The best athletes in the United States do not play soccer. Do they end up creating really good athletes? Yes, right? But our best of the best coming out are not going to soccer. Now, that's one. Two, MLS has a lot of money. And even though you say, yes, we don't have, what's a retirement league? I don't think that is anymore. At the beginning, it was when you were trying to get names. So you bring in, Schweinsteiger, you bring in Kaká, you bring in these guys. Now you look at the MLS. The MLS is kind of like a major league for Honduras, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Colombia. All these players, all these South American players play in the MLS. There's probably more South American players in the MLS than Americans.
I was actually about to say that when you were saying that the best athletes are not in the MLS, literally the best players in the MLS are usually foreign. They're not from.
And
that's what I'm saying.
And then and you just kind of the sidebar. I mean, and you can argue because the whole Mexico thing where like, oh, you bring foreigners, it doesn't help the domestic league, which I don't think that's true because it offers like direct competition.
Does help, yes. Look at what the MLS is today. That's because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well,
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
But I think it's different from the Mexican league because Yes, the Mexican League does bring in South Americans. They even bring in, you have Guignac, right? I mean, he chose that, whatever, right? But the majority of the Mexican League are Mexican players. They're Mexican nationals. They are the majority.
The
I'm not saying
majority
all
of
of
the
them.
league, yes, not
Yeah.
the
The
best.
majority. The majority is
Yeah.
over 50%.
Well,
So
that's- well,
51%.
But
And-
starting team,
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
but
it's usually about
mostly because like
70%.
it's kind of like a
Exactly.
Sure. But
That's
here's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because in the MLS, you know, the Mexican
Technicalities.
team, well, no, it's because in the US, our players come from colleges, right?
hmm
And in college, we may have Messi, but he's playing with a bunch of scrubs that went to college there.
yeah,
And again, these are not the best athletes.
yeah,
So if a player at a college sticks out at soccer, they get him, they put him in an academy.
Now
It's
you're a
a
receiver.
longer process.
You're going to the NFL now, bro. You can run.
No.
Give me that goalie. He got hops.
They take longer journey, and by
Yes.
that time, if you're really good, the European teams are already coming to get you.
yeah,
Yep.
So the Americans that are actually in the MLS are the lower tier players that need to develop,
Mhm.
and the older players that can't play in Europe or in the national team anymore.
Yep.
yeah.
Everybody else is a Latin American player in the MLS. So I think that hurts
Mhm.
viewership here because we don't have our players playing here.
Yep.
Our best players are playing in Europe now.
Yeah,
And that's the one thing I love about this new USA team because the average age is about 22, 23 years old. They're extremely young. And the majority of them play in Europe. They might not be with the best teams, even though some of them are. One of them is a
They might
starter
not
on
even be
Barcelona.
starter, but they're practicing and
One of
playing
them's a
with them.
starter
I
on
was gonna
Juventus.
say the
All right.
experience
One of
and
them's a starter on
exposure.
Chelsea.
Mhm.
I mean,
I want to get some points in.
well, and so there's that over there. So I think that the MLS could do better in the viewership, in the support, but I don't think it makes it, and that's probably why the difference is between the men's and the women's, because the women's, almost all of them play here. There's about a handful of them that play in Manchester United, they play in Tottenham, they play in PSG, and the women's team. But the majority of them play here in the United States. So they can turn on the game and we can see our players playing here.
Yeah.
Not like, everybody else in the men's who they have to turn on and see if there's a game about, a team that's in Europe and see if they're even starting. So I think that's the difference between the men's and the women's. Eddie?
So a couple things. Like you said, majority of the national team players, they are in Europe. And like you said, they're there. And I think as a player and as a national team coach or whatever you want them competing against the best and practicing against the best, like Seabass, right? And the one thing that you were talking about, MLS is most of them are from colleges. There's a draft and all that, super uneventful, but there's a draft, which any of the I really don't know names of the U.S. national team, but I want to say maybe a handful in the history of the like legit national men's players didn't go through that process. They were already in Europe in the practice squad, and they were already playing at 17 over there, 18, 19. None of them went to college, waited 4 years, got drafted, and then went over and did something else to get over into like the national team. So that's another thing. You do have a point. Now, the biggest point I wanted to talk about, it kind of Danny talked about like the resources and all that, and you say like we do have money here. We did cap. Why? MLS, I think 2019 or 2020, the MLS set the cap per team at 4.4 million. 4.4 million.
Nothing.
You know how much Tigres pays Guignac a year? 4.5 million. So it's like,
That's a dumb kid.
if you want to have
player,
yeah.
but that's one.
But no, what I'm saying,
That's it.
I mean, I could probably get you a list, and a lot of them, like the teams wouldn't be able to afford some quality. So
Okay, but honestly,
that's another
is game.
thing. Along with
That's why he's
Mori,
Okay, sure.
and top three for sure.
Okay, so top three, and he's been there for what, 5-6 years now?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's been the best striker in that league for 5-6 years now. He is gonna get paid 4.5 million in the MLS.
Right. Oh, he was a blockbuster
Yes, of
deal
course.
since the beginning.
But the MLS
But
doesn't
paid off
have
right away.
Gignac. They don't have Gignac came over basically at his prime.
Mm-hmm.
He made a move that nobody understood why.
Okay, but
He said because he loved it.
No.
He loved Mexico. He loved the city.
but
It's like
to your point, denying that it's not I don't think the MLS is a retirement league anymore. They're moving away from it, but it has been, and I do think the reason why it has been is because they can't pay players in their prime. They can't pay players maybe in their decline.
Yeah.
You have to wait for them to be way down to be able to fit them into your cap.
in the hundreds of thousands.
And I think that hurts the league. It'd be a much stronger league if they could pay big money to South Americans, to some Europeans, even to some Mexicans.
But then also you also have to see that the MLS is not like the NFL. They don't bring in the numbers that the NFL brings in. They don't get
their TV contracts are like
exactly. The NFL just did a $2 billion TV contract. The MLS is doing like a 30 mil TV, contract, and that's the difference. So they try and bring in these retirement players so that their names, and like, oh, Rooney's there, oh, Schweinsteiger, oh, Kaká, Nani, right? And Jovinko, and maybe you attract more people, but at the same time, it's hurting the league because it's not creating enough revenue to where you can raise the cap. And not only do they have that cap, is they have the international player rule where they only allowed a certain amount of international players per team. And that was a rule they had for many years, right? Mm-hmm. And I believe that I think last year or this year, they got rid of it or they amended it to where now there's more. Mm-hmm. And so that also affected. What's that?
How many more are they allowing now?
I don't know. I know that the rule was 3. They could only allow 3 or 4 international players. But now I see teams, and it looks like there's a lot more. So,
well, they're also naturalized and all that stuff.
And that's another thing. Some of these players come over and they become U.S. citizens so that they can play here.
Yep. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the MLS is getting stronger. The fan base is growing. I mean, if you think about it, I remember in the early 2000s watching a Liverpool game was almost impossible on TV. Whereas, it had to be like the main primetime game so you could watch a Premier League game. Whereas
on
now,
ESPN3 or something.
I feel NBC Sports is putting a lot of money. Like, there's a lot more market for European soccer in the US, which at the same time is kind of helping people get involved with their MLS teams. At least from what I've seen with Austin FC, there's been a lot of hype, but also there's a big market for like Premier League. Like, honestly, I never knew there was like pubs for maybe the top 8 teams. There's pubs in Austin that have anywhere from 50 to the Liverpool one for the Champions League final 2 years ago. It went to capacity, I think, at 500, and they had to open up to a different pub. So it's growing. I feel the markets are growing. MLS is getting stronger. They're going to get more competitive. And in that conversation, we could start discussing, Danny, if you will, the North American Super League, the rumors that it's been something that's been discussed since 2017.
A couple years already.
It's been probably since 2009. They kind of like pitched it and it didn't work. And then the last 4 years, they've kind of been trying to make it work. And I think that would just be amazing for both leagues. But there has to be a lot of work done because, like we said, MLS has a cap. The Mexican doesn't have a cap. We have the foreigner rules. We have the college draft here, but we don't over there. So I think there's a lot of moving parts that might not make it work. You know,
I've read a little bit into it, and it seems like they want to create a brand new league, brand new rules, brand new everything, not adopt either MLS or Liga MX.
they kind of have to, I think.
Yeah, and that to me is going to be the longest part to decide, but also the most important, because if they get rid of the cap, if they get rid of the limitation on some of the international players, if they figure out the logistics between traveling from the south part of Mexico all the way to Canada, I think there's an MLS team in Montreal. They're going to have to figure all that out, but I completely agree. That would be great for both leagues, for pretty much soccer in America overall. It would elevate the game completely. I'm actually very excited about that.
What do you think about that, Tosco?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that will benefit the viewer. It will benefit both leagues and the viewership, and Mexico, you know, the validity of being that top tier league that you want to see in the Americas.
Yep, I think, like we're discussing today, Liga MX is viewed more in the United States than the actual MLS. So if you spread that, where you're having America versus LA Galaxy, and you're having Chivas versus Dinamo, and you're having Austin FC versus, you know, Monterrey, like it starts involving all the markets. You know, yeah, there's like new clásicos, and there's all these other things that you can market, and it helps money wise, but also viewership. It expands the market exponentially.
And I don't know why it took so long. I mean, obviously, I mean, we're in an area with only 3 countries. You know, yeah, we have the islands, you know, whatever, but realistically, it's 3 leagues, or 2 leagues, right? And I don't know why this hasn't been done. In South America, realistically, there's only 1 real big league, right? You can say 2 that compete, right? The Brazilian league and the Argentinian team, the league, right? But they it's something that you know and everybody watches, right? And why couldn't we have done this before a long time ago, right?
I think the answer to that is what we were discussing earlier. The MLS is just now getting into a higher level of attention.
But if I would have been the head of the Mexican league, whoever's in charge of it, I honestly don't know. You know, it's like, yeah, sure. If we could have started with the MLS, we could have beat the crap out of them for years, and we would have gotten money from them, and it would have grown the Liga MX even bigger.
That's what we did with Copa Oro.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
but
I get you. You're right about that.
Yeah, it could have been something that could have been happening for years, and it would have been to Mexico's benefit on both fronts. And of course, it would have tried to legitimize the MLS at that point, right? Now the MLS is where it is. It's grown since the beginning, but at the same time, it's still something that still needs that validation, you know, by everybody, you know.
It would be interesting to see. And here's a hot take from, let me see, comes from the FIFA president, which he delivered a message last week. Infantino praised the idea, saying that combining the leagues could quite well be the best league in the world. I feel that's a hot take, but he says that it would be one of those top contending leagues because it would have the money, it could bring in players, and it'd be competitive. I do agree to some of that. I don't think it'd be the best league in the world.
Yeah, exactly. But you could put it up there in the top 5, top 10 leagues, or top 5 leagues. Probably.
Sure. But maybe with the money it brings in, the excitement that brings in, because you're in a league, you're in a country that has money, and then you're also with another country that has the fandom. The extreme fans that Mexico has for their teams is something that U.S. lacks. The U.S. has the money though, so, and not that the Mexican league doesn't have money, right? Because they do, right? But it could help them even more. And now we're talking about budgets that are a couple of million, 5 million, could go to 10, could go to 15. And maybe now you start bringing in those other players from Europe.
Marquee
players, like, you know what?
From Europe, bring them over here.
Yeah, and maybe not the marquee, right? Not right away, but you can start bringing in the young English players, the young Portuguese players, the young German players to come over here, and you're gonna start seeing like, whoa, you know, it's a different kind of game now. and maybe it could be something that could develop into the marquee player.
Yep. I think it'd be a really interesting idea. Uh, Definitely a lot of moving pieces to, figure out how that would work. But I would love, I grew up watching Liga MX, MLS not so much. They lost me when they started doing those penalties from like you start running up and doing some weird shit. But
Yeah, seriously.
but I do
like
think
the exaggeration of Liga MX. It's so exaggerated.
But that's the commentators. I think a lot of that has to be
That's
the
just
media.
tradition and culture to me.
They love that flashiness, which I don't enjoy. But I think it would be great to see, two nations that have been fighting so much about who's better, and there's that rivalry to compete on a weekly basis, possibly. And at the end of the day, all these players go to their national teams and they do what they will. But it'd be cool to see week in and week out, like I said, in America, like Galaxy or, New York, whatever, against Monterrey. I don't know. They'd be good, but the logistics of the traveling, the money, how do you pay them? Tax implications. I don't know how that goes.
I mean, I think it would be more like kind of like an FA, like an FA Cup, kind of like a European type of thing, or like like a Europa, or those random like cups. That's like those random derbies and stuff like that they have. So
that's kind of what they did. They tried to do that.
Yeah.
So first it started being like the champions, which was the MLS champions versus the Mexico Super Cup champions.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then they evolved it into a mini tournament, which is like 8 teams from each division or 4 teams from each division. And they were exciting games. They were good games. I mean, so I think it's possible. It's just, I don't know how they're going to make it work, but I would love to see that happen. And then, I mean, especially having Austin FC here now, it would open up like a whole new, because let's be honest.
We would get our teams coming here that look
exactly. The Austin FC stadium, Chivas comes in, America comes in, Monterrey comes in, Tigres comes in. There's going to be a lot more Tigres fans than Austin FC fans. And if you think about it.
And actually, to your point earlier, Eddie, when you were saying that the Liga MX is watched a lot more here in the U.S., there's also a lot of games that actually come play in the U.S., and there's also a lot of like Mexico, the national team comes and plays here. They sell out all the time.
All the time.
You don't see that the other way around as MLS teams going to Mexico and selling out at all. So I think it will help numbers, viewership. If you're talking about either TV or streaming, that's something that the U.S. is absolutely interested in. But I do think that the disparity is going to make probably we're looking into like 5 years in the future type of thing, if it happens.
And really like the power of just like the Mexican, specifically the Mexican national team culture. You gotta realize, like, I mean, just kind of like insider stuff. I used to work for the Puma store, and whenever, right before, when was it? It was in South Africa, that World Cup. So the Mexico was in danger of not making towards the World Cup, and everyone was freaking out. So it turns out that Mexico is simply just the biggest market in soccer, period. And there's no actual like it's not even close. So Puma was gonna lose $160 million that had invested in Mexico. The nearest in gear, clothes, whatever, they're about to like lose a whole bunch of money. The second team rather than that they invested on was Brazil, because it's Brazil. And they only invested like $35, $40 million. So the market is just enormous for Mexico. Not because like, the Mexicans or whatever, but yes, the Mexicans. Like everywhere, bro. Go anywhere the Mexican national team goes, it always gets packed. I'm the US, I'm the MLS. I'm starting to see like a lot of like dollar signs and shit. You know what I mean? Like, and not just that, but also just like in this case, like influence. And really, at the end of the day, the big thing that I'm capturing is eyes, which is like eyes on my sport and not on NBA, NFL, whatever, which is very hard in the US to do. So I don't know, just kind of going along with that. I think it would be a really good idea. I don't think I don't think we'd be able to really do it.
Well,
And then another thing that we haven't even talked about is, would they take all teams, or now we're talking about relegating half of the teams in each country and having just a shorter or less amount of teams per league? Because we're
So
talking about like 30, 40 some
I
teams.
mean,
And
yeah, that's a
yeah,
lot.
there's more MLS teams than Mexico teams. I
there
think
is.
Mexico would have to bump up their numbers. I think like 5 teams or something like that. And US would have to bring down their teams. And at the same time, Mexico would have to eliminate the relegation and promotion format. So yeah, there's a lot of things that would have to change to make it even. You would probably have to weigh in which markets are the biggest, and there's a lot of money to lose. So at the end of the day, when they vote for these type of decisions, it's, I'm pretty sure, a team vote from all the owners and things like that. And if you're Austin FC and they're like, yo, you're gonna get cut, you're not gonna vote for that. You're like, hey, I just made it here, or my team, my market's not as big, but this brings me in money. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's all money related. And speaking of which, with what Danny mentioned with Mexico, I mean, be honest, Mexico is not, it's not known for being super wealthy or anything like that, like at least of the people, right?
Mhm.
But when the World Cup comes around, there's a shit ton of Mexicans there paying thousands and thousands of dollars.
Everywhere.
So it's like,
And
Like in
France and
any
remember, Mexico is real rich or real poor. There's no
Exactly.
middle class.
except
That's why you
except during
see-
the World Cup, bro. Every 4 years, we all save money. I don't know.
Well, but going back to what you said about Puma, and it's like, yeah, but that's one brand that focuses on soccer. That's not a top tier, or maybe it is a top tier brand, but it's not number 1, 2, or 3.
Well,
Right.
yeah, but I mean,
So-
but they weren't the official sponsors or whatever. It was like it's either Nike or Adidas or whatever.
Okay.
But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like,
New Balance.
But to
like,
be honest,
just, like,
that
relatively
1, 2, or 3 definitely has a big
Well,
portion
Puma,
of
yeah,
Mexico.
Puma is a soccer brand. Like it's
Yeah.
not, and it goes out. I know I've seen Puma basketball stuff, and I've seen Puma, other even baseball stuff. But it's a
Yeah,
soccer. You think
Mostly
Puma, you're
soccer.
thinking soccer.
Yeah.
So but it helps, and you're
So
right.
more to Danny's point, wouldn't that be those? They know
Exactly.
what they're
That's
talking about.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You think Puma, you're thinking soccer. That's why you have that
The
attraction.
knowledge to do the right
Yeah.
thing and
And
give
so
Mexico some.
and all benefits Puma because it's something that it's a brand that they created in that sense to where you think Puma, you think soccer,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that's something that if you need something for soccer, we're gonna go get Puma,
Yeah.
right? So that's a great marketing strategy on them. Whether they did it intentionally or not, it works out better for them.
So
Mhm.
and just I did want to I know that Eddie did mention Austin FC. Just wanted I mean, we do have a couple of residents of Austin actually in there, including Eddie himself and Seabass. Just I don't know, I just wanted to have you touch a little bit on the state of affairs, moving forward. It is your inaugural season. And just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of give us a little bit of insight. I don't know, talk us some Austin FC in here.
So thank you. That intro, very kind. So lots of things going on. The first official match will be next week. So that's going to be pretty interesting. I believe it's LAFC that we're going against. Unfortunately, I believe the stadium's not going to be ready until like week 7. So like June is going to be the first official home game here.
Okay.
Everything else is going to be away. So from here to June, everything's going to be away, but we're going to kick off. As for a preseason, our preseason did start, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, and they created this brand new tournament that's going to be like a preseason for the Texas teams, La Copita Tejas. Basically, you got Austin FC, FC Dallas, Houston Dynamo, and then we got San Antonio FC. And I believe they're going to bring in one from Oklahoma. I'm not too sure if that ended up happening or not. What's up?
Laredo Heat now?
No, I think that team is disbanded at this point.
Oh, it's
but-
Energy FC or something. OKC.
yeah,
Energy.
from OKC Energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they're doing 3 MLS and I think it's 3 USL, which is like the bottom league. And they're doing a little small tournament. They're going to play a game each, and it's going to be basically their 4-game preseason before it kicks off. The first game was this past weekend, which is Dynamo versus Austin FC. Pochettino, which is like their marquee signing, beautiful free kick. Not gonna lie to you, he bent that shit like Beckham. And we went up 1-0, and then Austin FC, you could just see preseason nerves and mistakes. It kind of seemed like Liverpool playing out there today. They gave away.
Looking pretty damn good.
No. They gave away 2 goals. They went down 2-1. They tied it, and then they lost 3-2. But I mean, it's a brand new team. Lots to look forward to. Yeah, getting the feet wet, and I know the market is ready. The barras were out there, COVID guidelines and protocols and all that, but they were out in the streets with flags, smoke. So I don't know. It's going to be exciting. I know the front office is really putting into the Austin vibe. For example, they're really excited about mostly all of the food vendors. They're going to be local restaurants. So like they have like 10 different type of taquerias in there. Like they're making it Austin style. A lot of the beers there, they're going to be local Austin craft beers. They're doing They're doing that the whole which I know it's common here in Austin when you go to bars and they have the water jugs. So like water's free. They have a bunch of jugs throughout the stadium. You could do that. It's going to be laid back.
Cool.
They have
dangerous, but yes.
They have a food truck section. So where the barras are going to be at, there's going to be food trucks out there and kind of like a standing picnic area place. So it's going to be really, really have that chill Austin vibe to it. The games are going to be at home, and they're going to be Saturday nights. So it's going to be nice and cool, but still on Saturdays. So you're not tired next day for work.
There we go.
I don't know. A lot of exciting things on top of that. And I could go on for a while. We could totally make a whole long segment about it. But the stadium is going to have music venues on the outside. So you could have concerts on the outside.
It's a nice stadium.
It is a nice stadium. And they have the live music on the outsides. They're going to have pavilions. And a whole bunch of other things. I mean, they're really investing into trying to make it like a thing. When I talked to the front office, they were talking how they really want to capture how vibrant Austin is and how excited they get about a specific thing. For example, like tailgating and for UT, they're like, we want that type of energy on the outside of the stadium and building up to the games.
Yeah,
we want to have
Austin
that commitment from the fans.
Because Austin has that energy to do so. It just hasn't been able to hone it on any like professional team or anything like that.
Because we don't have any.
Because technically, I was gonna say
there's no MLB, there's no NFL, nothing in Austin. So.
Yeah, and there's money in Austin, so like you're kind of surprised.
It's
kind of surprising, but I mean, think about it. There's no room.
More now.
We just had like a 3-hour conversation about that Tosco the other day.
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I want to get myself one of those white retro Austin FC jerseys that have the Yeti logo in it, but it's really sleek.
Nice.
I really like that.
You're gonna have to bring it on. You're gonna have to bring it on and show us.
Right. And then again, a lot of the sponsors they're trying to get a lot of local sponsors. They're trying to do the Yetis. They're trying Q2, which is AI. They're doing like saying the hospitals and things like that. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Again, they built to what seems like a strong squad. I'm not too familiar with MLS, but they have a lot of experienced MLS players.
Yeah.
Some, veteran players that have been around the league. They got a couple, South American players that seem to be pretty good. They have that potential. They were kind of breaking through in their respective leagues. So it's going to be interesting. I know they want to come in strong and compete. So we'll see. I know there's
Texas will help.
Yeah, and there's a lot of rivalry already started since the beginning, since before anyone was signed or anything was built, because as y'all might know, they were trying to bring over a team that was already established. So they wanted to move a team. There was a whole big deal, and they decided to make an expansion team. But there's already rivalry with that fan base. And then there's already rivalry with the other Texan teams, or at least trying to make it a rivalry. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a really exciting, first season. we'll definitely have to capture some video and some B-roll
Yeah.
for the podcast. And when we make it out there, hopefully, soon we'll be out there supporting.
I was gonna say, yeah, you gotta show us some video, pictures, and stuff like that. We gotta post those up like as soon as we can. As soon as the season starts, you said what it starts when in June?
Well, as soon as there's a home game.
Yeah, I was
much.
gonna say
Right,
you said in June, right?
7th, I think you said.
I believe June is the first home game.
Yeah.
But the season starts next week, the 17th against LAFC. I'm pretty sure it's one of the LA teams.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I mean, you heard it here from our Eddie himself, Austin FC. Go check them out. Again, they are going to start their games out of away just because the stadium isn't completed or finished yet. Once they come, we'll definitely let you guys know more details. You guys can check it out. Maybe meet us there. Say hi and everything. Check out and support in local teams. So in this case, real quick, we're gonna go ahead and just move along into our NFL segment. So we're gonna talk a little bit NFL today and a little bit more NFL tomorrow. Specifically, I know there's a lot of stuff going on. I really want to specifically focus on the NFL draft. So obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on. All right. We mock drafts are changing from week to week. Teams are just changing. I mean, players are changing teams from week to week, it seems. And we hear things from here, we hear things from there. Teams are taking quarterbacks where we thought they weren't going to be taken, and so we have
trading up and trading down.
So we have a lot of hot takes today. I'm gonna start with just a straight up hot take. The San Francisco 49ers did trade up to get the third pick overall. And I just wanted to get a Tosco's take on who they might potentially take. Go for it.
Well, I mean, they traded up to get a quarterback. At first, we didn't know why they were going to trade up, but then they basically confirmed they're going to get a quarterback. So if you think about it, number one is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Number two is the Jets. And from what we hear from the Jets camp is that it's going to be Zach Wilson. So at number three, you're left with Mac Jones, Justin Fields. Now, who is better, right? Who are you going to pick? Mac Jones just beat Justin Fields in the national championship, right? And the team needs to decide which kind of quarterback they're going to go with, because they both have they have a great arm. They can make the throws. They have the accuracy, but there are different kinds of quarterbacks. There has to be a route they're going to take because there's a specific kind of quarterback. And from what I've heard, Justin Fields was the clear number three, right? He was going to be, and probably some people say he's even the number two. Yeah, he was going to compete with the Trevor Lawrence for the number one spot, right? There was all these rumors.
And Fields beat Trevor Lawrence, actually.
And all of a sudden, he starts dropping down behind Lawrence, behind Wilson. And now what I'm hearing is that the 49ers are going to take Mac Jones. Mac Jones has now overtaken Justin Fields. And one of the reasons that I believe it's true, and I do think it's going to happen, was a lot of these interviews that have been happening around the NFL, around the pro days, because we didn't have a combine. They have been focusing on asking questions on Mac Jones because we don't know about this kid. He came out of nowhere. He was the backup for Jalen Hurts. He was the backup for Tua Tagovailoa. And now he finally gets a shot on his senior year. He has one amazing year. He leads his receiver to win the Heisman. He leads them to a national championship. But everybody says, you're on Alabama. You basically have any kind of player and every best player that you could want.
And an NFL pocket.
And an NFL pocket. is he really the truth, or is he all hype because of where he is? And some reports have been saying that he's the most intelligent quarterback in the draft, that he knows defenses faster than anybody else, that he's out there, he sees the defense, he knows what it is, he knows where it's going, and that he's even he's pulling a Peyton Manning and an Aaron Rodgers and telling the defense what they're going to run and still completing it on them. He's telling them, you're running this, I'm going to run this, and I'm still going to score.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's like kind of like
how does he tell it? Like, what do you mean by that?
I mean, like, look,
Well,
I'm gonna go left.
been
I'm
an
gonna go left
interview.
deep, like to the left or whatever. Imagine.
But I mean, he's not saying it with his words.
He goes up to the line. Hey, I like the cover 3 you're running. I'm gonna throw the post in the end zone.
Okay, so there's actual reports.
Este vato, dude.
Okay, gotcha.
It's as simple as that. There's been interviews with Sean Wade, the top prospect corner from Ohio State,
Yeah.
who he said he's faced some quarterbacks in his career at Ohio State, some really good ones. He said that Mac Jones is the best quarterback that he's ever gone up against, that he figures it out, and by the time they figure out what Alabama was doing, the ball's already in the air, the ball's already in the receiver's hands, the play's already happened. So is there something there with Mac Jones that we didn't see? We did see, the throws and the winning, but
Saban
it's
didn't
in
see it
Alabama.
for 3 years.
So you think it's easy.
Yeah.
But did we see times of hardship, of pressure? Not really. But apparently the 49ers have decided that it's going to be Mac Jones. And a hot take heard today, Falcons, I announced that they're willing to trade the fourth overall pick.
Damn.
Apparently that the reason why Justin Fields has been tumbling down, the order of the quarterbacks is because somebody has been putting out bad stuff about him.
I heard that he's last one in, first one out type of player.
So apparently that all that stuff that's been put out there has come from a New England Patriots source. And that, Belichick, did it all be part of his master plan to let Justin Fields slip down and then trade up to 4 because they have picks, they have players, they have money. And draft Justin Fields.
Could happen, man.
All right,
They give him a lot of weapons.
All right, who wants to go? Because
I want to ask Tosco one thing. Do you think Shanahan will go and choose a pocket QB over a mobile QB in his system, historically thinking?
Well, the thing is that in his system, he's not running a system to where you need a running QB.
A lot of play action.
I think that you need a mobile quarterback.
Right.
A mobile quarterback, I think, is different than a rushing.
Like who? Give me examples.
A mobile quarterback is Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, okay.
A rushing quarterback is Lamar Jackson.
All right. Well, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
Patrick Mahomes could be a mobile quarterback too.
Patrick Mahomes is a mobile quarterback. So the question is, Justin Fields is a mobile quarterback, right? Mac Jones
is not
really. So
that's my big issue
Mac
with
Jones over Justin Fields. Well, that's something that, it's the 49ers know what they're doing, but that's something that we haven't seen yet. And that's, what's the mystery about the third pick.
Absolutely. I think Shanahan's going to pull Shanahan and go with Fields. That's my hot take.
I'm gonna have Beto come in on the podcast, and we haven't heard from him yet. Welcome, Beto. How you doing, bro?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Showed up late. Sorry.
No, you're good. Just to answer Tosco's hot take, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I mean, just gonna contradict a little bit, just because I at work on my free time I look through the news, the hot takes on the NFL draft, top news for sports, and basically a few days ago or last week, I'm sorry, during Alabama's pro day, he did run I believe it was a 4.5 He is an athletic mobile quarterback. Matt Jones, I know he ran almost a 5-second 40, which that's something that was a big deal as to determining the factor of him being going third overall. However, like Tosco said, the bad press that had been coming out recently had been hurting his draft stock a little bit. However, for me, in my opinion, I still think they take Fields, honestly, but that's just my opinion. At the end of the day, I'll be watching it in Cancun, so I don't care who they take. I'll be just enjoying a nice cold beer on the beach.
Nice. Drink one for me, bro, because I need one. Dang. All right, Eddie. I'll pass it. I'll give it to you, Eddie, at the end. I'll pass it to Seabass because I know he's like dying to give an answer to Tosco.
Oh, and Tony Romo's a mobile quarterback too. Just throwing that out there. Y'all didn't mention.
I wouldn't consider him a mobile quarterback.
Really?
You just see this? Did you see the?
But I don't consider him a pocket quarterback either.
Did you see the juke he did on JJ Watt? Did y'all forget about that?
Tosco, is Romo mobile quarterback or pocket?
Romo was a mobile quarterback.
Oh my god! All right, Seabass. All right, Seabass. What's your take? So the 49ers, who are they? Are they really taking Matt Jones? Or who are they taking? What's going on? Are they just gonna like trade out? I don't know. Are they just gonna take over the world?
They should keep Bortles.
To be honest, I do think they're gonna pick Mac Jones only because it's the only thing that truly makes sense. If they trade her all the way to 3,
wow,
it has to be a quarterback. It's not gonna be Trevor Lawrence. More than likely, we all know it's not gonna be Zach Wilson. And if Justin Fields is dropping so much, I mean, it's kind of almost logical. But they're not going to go with Trey Lance for number 3. I mean, come on. So I do think they're going to draft him. I don't believe the Falcons are actually going to trade down, only because they could stick there and see if any one of the teams skips a quarterback. Maybe they just do something else, which I doubt it.
Yeah.
Or they take Trey Lance if they want. I don't see them sticking with Matt Ryan, letting go of their number 4 pick.
Well, just to interject, Seabass, I'm sorry. They just restructured his contract to keep him around a few years longer. They're looking to keep him.
They're paying Matt Ryan a lot of money. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I was gonna say they're paying him a lot of money, especially towards his later part of the contract or whatever.
Exactly, they're paying him a lot of money, but we've seen that doesn't really mean much in the NFL nowadays.
True that.
They could easily offload him in a year or two and draft someone this year or next year. I mean,
who's going to want to pay $40 million for a 30-something-year-old quarterback?
The fact that you're asking that question is the same reason why they're going to roll with him when they have a chance to get another quarterback.
I will.
They're going to roll with him because they're committed to him.
Yeah, but they're committed to him, but they're going to keep losing, or they're going to waste not only Julio Jones' careers, but now they're going to waste.
I don't think they're losing because of Matt Ryan.
I mean, I don't think they're winning.
I don't think they're winning. It was because of Matt Ryan. He's never had a defense they're running in.
Yeah.
When they were winning, the few seasons they were really good, it was absolutely because of Matt Ryan. That stopped.
Okay.
So obviously,
Matt Ryan don't have a defense. They don't have an offensive line. They don't have.
He went to the Super Bowl.
He choked.
A game that they should have won.
And that was how many years ago? Well, regardless, the question was if I think Mac Jones is going to be going number 3. I do think so. But I also think that the Falcons might not trade at all, and they'll take – well, they were taking Pitts yesterday when we were discussing that. Now they're talking about trading down to the Patriots. The Patriots would have to give a lot to move up that much. I know that they kind of filled out their team with free agency, so if they are in love with Mac Jones, I would actually like for that to happen, see what the Patriots do. I just don't think it will happen. There's a lot of smokescreen. I think the first 2 picks are set, but 3, 4, 5 could be different, even though from everything we're hearing, yes, it looks like Mac Jones is going number 3.
Just real quick, I know that you did say, throw a little of your 2 cents in there, Eddie. Just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think it was just basically what I mentioned. Do I think they should probably go for Mac Jones? Probably. But either way Shanahan is, I feel she's just going to be like, nah, I'm taking Fields. I want Fields.
A
Give
quick
me
thing, Eddie.
Fields.
Jimmy Garoppolo, is he a mobile quarterback or is he a pocket passer?
Is he a quarterback?
I mean, I thought at one
Fields?
point he was a little more of a pocket passer
Pocket
slash
passer.
mobile, but I mean,
When Jimmy Garoppolo has started for the 49ers, they have a winning record, a very good winning record.
yeah. But I just think in his
He
system,
hasn't started that many
Made it
games.
to the
in those
Super
3
Bowl.
years.
exactly.
Made it to the Super Bowl.
I don't know. I have a feeling
Carried
man,
it.
that's my hot take. Shanahan's gonna be like, I want Fields. I want to try to be a little more like the Chiefs, where I have a mobile quarterback and do all these mamadas. That's what I think. But we'll see. Honestly, to me as a Steeler fan, these high picks are irrelevant. We're never there, so it is what it is. It is what it is.
Don't
Hey,
worry,
okay,
it's
bro.
coming.
My
It's
bad. You make
coming.
the playoffs every year.
Oh, now that
They have the Browns and the Bengals in your division. Like,
Don't score. I have to enjoy it while it lasts because I'll be in the high picks probably the next 5 years.
It's coming, buddy.
Oh, and one last note on the Mac Jones thing. If he was that, or if he is that smart, and he's one of the best prospects out there, smartest guys, I just don't know why exactly he didn't start before this year. I mean, I know he had competition, but if he really is that bright, that good, that talented, and Nick Saban is very, very good at reading talent on players, why did it take him to his last year?
yeah,
Well, see, that's
I mean,
it's like
it's
asking.
Bama.
It's like asking.
It is.
Why didn't one of the
Like, why is all this information coming out right before the draft and not his whole career?
well,
A lot of people are
because
just comparing it to
Alabama
Drake.
is filled with 5-star athletes.
Yeah, dude.
course.
They're
They
like,
have 5-star
The last
athletes
decade
every.
and that-
So if
I mean, there's one ball.
if you went and recruited a Jalen Hurts, and the next year you got a Tua Tagovailoa, and the next year you get a Mac Jones, right? You already started with Jalen Hurts. He's still on your team. He's winning you national championships. How are you going to put Mac Jones in front of him? Jalen Hurts left. You put Tua Tagovailoa.
Tua.
He wins you a
Same
national championship. How are you going to replace him? I mean, it's like saying, oh, Tom Brady, there's a guy that's coming up that's better than you, slings it better. You just won a championship, but I'm going to take you out. Like, how's that going to work?
I know. I mean, it's. I mean,
I don't know. Fitzpatrick has a
definitely see
Harvard
what you mean, but we've seen a lot of players go to other programs, start and win, and not just sit out so much and come in the last year.
And
But I do get
and,
the thing is that right now the college game, it's so lopsided in
Yeah.
recruits wise. This can be a topic for another day, but recruits wise,
yeah.
that whole situation, the way it's set up,
Mhm.
you're just Alabama's just collecting. They're just collecting. It's like they're collecting diamonds, and they don't want anybody to have any of them.
Yeah.
And it's whenever I want to use a diamond, I'm going to use it. Oh, I want to show it to you. Here it is. And it's like, how is that possible?
Look, don't touch.
So
Yeah,
just
how is that fair?
yeah, so just real quick, just our it is actually gonna be our last segment for tonight, guys. I just want to kind of touch on that. The Panthers did trade for Sam Darnold, so the Darnold era did end in New York.
Mercifully.
He was 2018. Was it second pick, third pick, something like that, third. So
Still too high.
I just want to, just kind of get everyone's obviously thoughts on that. First of all, is if he how his future looks for him specifically. If he's gonna fit with the Panthers, if or just to hit himself in this case. And then just as a second part of the questions, like where do you see the Jets kind of moving, with that? Again, Tosco, go for it.
I think it's a good move for both parts. In the sense that it's good for Sam Darnold. Well, actually, I think it's good for the Panthers and Sam Darnold, not necessarily good for the Jets, because you drafted a third overall pick. Third overall pick. Every year, he had either a new coach or a new offensive coordinator. Every year, you got rid of your best players. You got rid of your best defenders. You got rid of your best offensive weapons. how do you expect for a quarterback to show his talents and the potential for it to come out? How do you expect to do that? Okay, that's not going to happen. You can have anybody. You can get Tom Brady. You can get the best Joe Montana, anybody, John Elway. If you put them in Peyton Manning, if you put them in that situation, okay, and then to top it off, the coaches they had were horrible, right? You know, not only were they not good coaches, okay, they were bad, and then there were different ones. How is he ever going to thrive? Sam Darnold last year, didn't have a great year.
No.
But what I've seen from Sam Darnold is he's had great moments, and I'm talking about great moments every season. A great throw, a great drive, a comeback win. That wasn't many, but he had some great glimpses of what he could be.
Yeah.
And him finally leaving the Jets, going to the Panthers, who have a new coach, who are under new ownership because they became new owners, bought the team, I think, about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and that seemed committed to winning. They were in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. They were willing to trade 3 first-rounders. They were willing to trade their best player, Christian McCaffrey, for Deshaun Watson. Okay. So it shows that they're trying to change and they're trying to win, which it is a good thing for Sam Darnold, because to him, it should mean that, you know what, they want me. They saw those glimpses and believe that I can be that quarterback, and they want to win. So I think it's a win for both. It did not cost too much for that trade, you know, and the Jets, it just leaves you starting over again. Yeah, you have a new coach, and finally he seems like he's a good coach. He was a good assistant, but it's still, you know, you're starting over. If you've been a Jets fan, it's been, you know, it's almost as bad as a Jaguars fan. So
I saw that.
You know.
I saw that.
I mean, it's hopefully
because we were close
hopefully
to go pretty soon.
the Jets hit on Zach Wilson and they can continue their franchise. But I think it's a great trade for Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers.
Seabass.
Ooh.
I mean, we brought you up. What are your thoughts?
I honestly agree with almost everything Tosco said. I do think the Panthers won in here, getting Sam Darnold. I think that they are showing that they want to win. I think they do have a decent enough roster, or maybe even a good roster to maybe try to compete. Especially Sam Darnold not only shows those glimpses or a couple good throws, kind of like Tosco was saying, great times, but if he can get a little more consistency, if he can rely on running game with McCaffrey, if he can get his receivers to actually catch the ball and Robbie Anderson make some plays, or however you want to say that he has a better chance, a better defense at least.
Way better.
He has potential to win some games, being a team that believes in him. He kind of reset his clock because in New York, he knew it was hot seat time or about to go, or next year was going to be brutal. Right now, he's coming into a brand new team. He at least bought himself a year or two of good faith to where he can just go out there and ball and not have to worry about Teddy Bridgewater or another first-round pick coming in soon and replacing him. So definitely good for the Panthers, definitely good for Sam Darnold. But I also think it was good for the Jets. Maybe not in value overall because, yes, he was a third overall first-round pick, and all they got for him was a second and a seventh. I forgot what else.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about years after they drafted him. We're talking about years after most of that fan base is already desperate, is already angry, is not going to give a
and it's
quarterback
New York,
3, 4, 5 years. Exactly.
But it's not Sam Darnold's fault.
I mean,
it's not, but the Jets themselves are benefiting from him going somewhere else, them recouping whatever they can, knowing that they're in a position to draft Zach Wilson at number 2. They saw the draft saying, okay, there's no one better that we're going to get here, so let's go with that quarterback. Now let's let Sam Darnold go, give him a chance, recoup some picks, and also make our fans not hear about Sam Darnold for the 4th year in a row, because you know you're going to have some fans that are just sick of him. Some fans are obviously going to give him a chance or have hopes, kind of like a Jaguars fan still rooting for Blaine Gabbert or Blake Bortles. But at some point, you just have to cut it. And I do think pretty much all three parties won in that trade. And I was actually kind of glad to see it when I saw the notifications or when I saw the headlines. But yeah, I think pretty much everyone's a winner on this one.
Eddie, what do you think?
Before I get into that, real quick, at some point, a Jaguars fan bet me big money that Blake Bortles was going to retire with more rings than Ben Roethlisberger. Just throwing that out there.
Well, the Rams have a shot, all right? We'll see what happens.
All right.
I was like, where's he at?
Now, I mean, these guys pretty much killed it. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but Sam Darnold, honestly, Steelers, like myself, I know Colts fan, Bear fans, we were all kind of hoping like it would fall into our team because, like Bosco said, he showed promising, talent. He could be a good quarterback for, he could be a franchise QB.
I can see him with the Steelers. I can see him that.
I mean, he just needs a good, solid system. He needs a good foundation. He can't be just under that pressure and scrutiny to be the savior of the team. The Jets have been a dumpster fire for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They haven't been able to have a foundation or a solid team where, you know what, hey, rookie QB, come here, develop. You're going to make mistakes, but the defense got your back. And this, the run game is solid. He didn't have the help. So I think going to the Panthers, it's great for him and the Panthers being able to keep McCaffrey there, a solid ass running back where it doesn't all have to rely on Darnold. So it's a win for Panthers, win for Darnold. And the Jets, I mean, hopefully they draft their good, solid QB. They don't mess that up. But also, hopefully, with a new coach, they have that continuity, a foundation, a system, something to go off of and not just put this brand new QB in the hot seat. So that's my thoughts on that. I like the trade for Darnold. I think he's going to do good.
Bad luck, Beto. What do you think, man?
Well, Darnold over the weekend partied it up really hard over the week that he got traded. So I think he was just as excited as the Jets fans to leave than the Jets fans were to keep him. So with that being said, yes, he showed a lot of promise. And there was some highlights out there that during his rookie contract that he did shine. And I mean, push comes to shove. I mean, you have someone very young with a lot of pressure being a top 3 pick to revitalize a franchise that has historically hasn't been so great. I mean, put Darnold in the Mark Sanchez era when they go to AFC Conference Championships.
Oh yeah, that.
I mean, think of it like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Jets would have won a Super Bowl maybe. I mean, that's pretty crazy to say, right? Jets winning a Super Bowl, but I mean, even then, I mean, with a defense like that, just like asking a rookie quarterback to have a decent defense to back him up. Much like Ben Roethlisberger had in his first year. Yep. But I mean, at the end of the day, Darnold going to a pretty good, above average team with the Panthers. I mean, it sounds pretty good, pretty exciting stuff. And with the coach Rule, I think his name is
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule, yeah.
McCaffrey.
Pretty. Yeah, with McCaffrey. I mean, he has weapons now. I mean, they just like Tosco said, they traded away Robbie Anderson. They traded away their the top offensive line and defense. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like they were trying to just call it quits on him and here you go, ball out, see what you can do, play what you got. I mean, they technically abandoned him when they most needed to actually nurture him, and so it's I think that's why I think it was more of a very toxic situation for Darnold. Really, it was a really bad breakup. But I mean, I think Darnold comes out on top and he goes with the hot babe and leaves the ex behind to get me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just for me in general, I think I obviously wish good luck to Darnold and everything. I think that the New York market is just hard, just in general, like just being in sports and stuff like that. And it's football, bro. Like football's hard. Like I mean, NBA and even really like in the other sports, like a single person can make a huge impact. And also in NFL, but NFL it's still a team. Like it's like 52 dudes out there or whatever. So just I think he's gonna do good. I think the Panthers are obviously in a very hard division, very competitive. So we'll see how that happens. But I think it's gonna be way better situation than for the Jets. And the Jets, I mean, they have a number 2 pick. They'll be all right. They just need to kind of, hopefully they don't mess that up. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they're gonna kind of stay the
They
same
might
track.
go with Mac Jones the way things are looking.
I don't know, Tosco. What's up?
You're on mute.
They're set with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're just gonna go ahead and wrap it up today for tonight. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Studio 13th Day. They're providing the sounds, music, and the graphics for us. Also, as well, we are, for our audience out there, we are gonna start a merchandise. We're setting up a website and everything, so you guys can check out some shirts. We're gonna sell some shirts, some polos, some hoodies, maybe a hat or so, a couple hats. So you guys can definitely follow us. Keep on liking, subscribe, and sharing. Everything that Eddie likes to do. And making sure just thank you so much again for helping us out, supporting us, and just kind of keeping up with all of our antics, talking sports, and just being super fans just like us. So we're gonna start wrapping it up. Go ahead, crack AV. Alright, guys, we're gonna start wrapping that up for today. So that's it for this week's episode on Tuesday. We'll go ahead and see you guys in 2 days on Thursday. Just want to give a quick shout out again to our Studio 13th Day, our sponsors. Want to make sure everyone follows on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. Just want to say thank you so much for everyone coming in. This is Danny BMD. Just want to say later. Go and pass it down to Superfan Art. Go for it.
Thank you, Dan. Lesson of the day is, if you poke the bad news bears of Baylor, then you might get kicked in the Gonzagas. Remember, sports are great, but you never rely on the fans. This is episode number 19. Until next time, folks, be cool, stay safe, and keep on listening to Mezzo Forte Sportz.